So how do you answer these questions? Well, what we've got going here for this tables, now what I'm seeing here, let's see, I'm going to get the pencil here. Maybe I can try to write this. What I'm seeing here is I'm seeing a blank for when x equals -2 and when x equals -1. So that tells me the function is not defined there. So then if I think about plotting some points here, well, 0, 0, 1, 1. Then if I do 4, 2, and I connect some points here, and this looks like one of those toolkit functions, looks like the square root function to me. Okay, now the reciprocal function, since that's what you selected, the reciprocal function isn't defined at x equals 0 because 1 over x I can't divide by 0, right? So the reciprocal function looks like this. So let's look at these points here and see what's happening. So you must, let's see, let's scroll down and find that reciprocal function here. I'm going to go to the mouse, scroll down, let's find that reciprocal function. Here we go. Do you see how this one is 1 over, let's see. If I think of 1 over x as being the reciprocal function, and I substitute 1 over -2, well, that's the same as -1/2. Okay, and then 1 over -1, well, that's -1, which is what I'm seeing here. So this is definitely the reciprocal function. Okay, linear y equals x, yeah, that I would agree. That looks like the identity function. Cubic, yeah, we're cubing that, so that's okay. Let's see here. What else? The absolute value, everything turns positive. I agree with that. And the quadratic, everything gets squared. So that's all good. Okay, so it helps you with that question. Now, let's see here. Let me erase some of my scrawl. So now for the graphs and the tables, I encourage you to take a look at the toolkit functions in section 1 or section 2. So this is lesson 1, so it's got to be in section 1. Okay, so what match each graph with its table? Well, let's see. You thought number 1 was C. Let me go back. So C is right here. And I'm seeing the function is not defined when x is less than 1. And this is defined when x is less than 1. And if you think back to that problem we just did, that's the reciprocal function. So the reciprocal function graph always looks like this. Well, I mean, unless it's been transformed. More on that later. So this should actually be choice B because it's reciprocal function. So there's 2 ways to deal with this. Think about the table of values. Think about the domain of where it's defined. And then what else we got here? So that's the square root function, which is let me erase some of this stuff here. Okay, so for this one here, let's see. That's the square root function, which would be there because it's not defined, and we're going to take the square root of each of those. This is a quadratic, right, because it's squared, so it's a parabola. Is that choice A? Yeah, okay. And then it looks like the identity function, which would be F, yeah. Okay, so I hope that helps you decide where you went astray and the kind of thinking you want to do for this. That the cubic function would be D, so it looks like you did okay with that. Looks to me like the biggest problem is you're getting confused between the reciprocal function and then the square root function. Okay, so make sure this is domain 0 to infinity, in range 0 to infinity. This has domain all reals except for x equals 0, and it has and it has range all reals except for y equals 0. Okay, so I hope that helps you discern this. So let's see here.